Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our channel, The Architect, or Kuzimba, Kujenga. Today we're going to talk about concrete spalling. What is concrete spalling? How do you stop concrete spalling? And how do you solve problems associated with concrete spalling? Are you a builder? Are you a developer that is interested in building? Are you a professional interested in building? We share ideas here, we share solutions to problems in construction, and we welcome you all. You remember, or you may remember, we started our series on concrete. The very first episode was talking about the mixed ratios of concrete. The next one was talking about honeycombing in concrete. Today we're talking about spalling in concrete. What is spalling in concrete, and how do we deal with spalling? Spalling, unlike honeycombing, affects old concrete that has been existing for some time. And this is when the concrete starts peeling away, especially the concrete that is on top or the cover, starts peeling away and creates patches, if it's a slab or a beam. And you start seeing corroded reinforcement bars. When you start seeing corroded or rusted reinforcement bars, that is spalling. How does spalling come about? First of all, you should all know that spalling is not a good thing. Spalling weakens the member where it's occurring. If it's a slab, that slab becomes weaker. If it's a beam, that beam becomes weaker. If it's a column, that column becomes weaker. So how do we deal with spalling? Spalling must be repaired immediately. Second, it's unsightly. It makes the building look ugly. You remember you had a very smooth finish, and then there's this patch of concrete showing the reinforcement bars. So what causes concrete spalling first and foremost? The biggest cause of concrete spalling is the reinforcement getting corroded. And how does the reinforcement get corroded? One, water seeps through the concrete and gets into the reinforcement. And as reinforcement is getting corroded, it produces some products or rust, which occupies more volume than the original steel. And that rust now pushes off the cover, and the cover goes off. So that's the biggest problem. And I must warn, I have seen a lot of people putting pipes, drainage pipes, water pipes, down pipes in concrete columns. You are creating yourself problems. If that pipe ever gets blocked and the water starts seeping slowly into that concrete, it will cause spalling. That's one big problem. But also the other problem that I'll talk about now immediately is that when you put a pipe in the middle of a column, make sure that the designer, the engineering designer, actually provided for a pipe to run into a column, because effectively you're reducing the amount of concrete or the area of concrete. The second cause of spalling is fire exposure. When concrete gets, if the building gets burned, the concrete will spall and will get off the reinforcement bars, and they'll be exposed. The third one is the alkali-Sika solution reaction that happens with cement and steel. That also causes spalling. Inadequate depth cover. The technical people may know what cover is. If this is your reinforcement bar, what we call cover is that concrete that goes on top of it or goes around it. That's cover. Now, if that cover is not good enough or it's very small, concrete, you get concrete spalling. If it's good enough, big enough, but the concrete ratio mixes were bad, you still get concrete spalling. The last cause of spalling is in joints. When joints are not constructed properly, when joints are not done properly, you get concrete spalling around those areas, and it exposes the reinforcement bars. How do you prevent spalling in concrete? If you're going to prevent spalling in concrete, make sure that your mixes are correct. We talked about mixes, 1 to 2 to 4, 1 to 3 to 6. Those mixes must be correct using the same unit measure, batching box. Then give your reinforcement the right amount of cover. The depth of cover should be sufficient. If it's a small cover, you'll have spalling. Make sure that your reinforcement bars do not get in touch with water. If there's somewhere where water seeps through the concrete and gets into the reinforcement bars, they will start corroding and they'll cause spalling. So that's one way of preventing spalling. Another one, when you finish your concrete, you can seal it with a sealant, which is waterproof. You may have seen this. There's a building in Makere, the Faculty of Technology building. If you look at that building, once the concrete was finished, they used a sealant. That's how the water cannot get into, because the water hits that surface of the concrete and it just flows off because of that sealant. So those 2 or 3 must help you to prevent spalling. What if you can't prevent spalling and you realize that you're actually in the middle of a spalling concrete? What do you do? If your concrete is spalling, these are the options. If you look at a spalled area, do finish it off nicely. Use a sealant that matches the color of the concrete. Have the affected area resurfaced with an overlay, a nice overlay. But make sure, first and foremost, the water that was causing the corroding has been stopped before you resurface. And then finally, it might be necessary for you to rip out the entire slab, rip out the entire beam, so that you redo it again, stop spalling. Are you a builder? Are you a developer? Are you a student? Are you a professional? This is where we talk about construction. Please subscribe to our channel, Motion Z. Subscribe and learn more.